Hi guys, today we'll understand JDBC that we use for connecting our application with database, and we will use a database MySQL here, which will help us to store the data in form of table. Okay, so let us understand this. What is a JDBC? Java Database Connectivity. Before understanding JDBC, it is very important to understand what is MySQL, what is database, right? So database works in the classical, we can say classic client server fashion. It's a client server architecture. So there is one database and many clients talk to it. So we can say there's one server is kept somewhere and number of clients are connecting with the server and doing some work. Okay. Uh, the clients are typically remote systems communicating over TCP/IP networks. It depends what kind of networks and the configurations of the service and all. In a two-tier system, the clients talk directly to the database, while in the three-tier, the clients talk to the business logic server, which in turn talks to the database. So if we talk about the two-tier architecture, let us have one machine client, other machine is a server, which is communicating to each other, right? If we talk about the client or three-tier architecture, I mean, so in that case, let us say there is a client is interacting with the server, and the server is interacting with your database. So the business logic server would also contain server-side JDBC functionality. So server will be containing all this stuff, connections, pooling and all. Now, in the two-tier model, a Java application communicates directly with the DBMS. A JDBC driver is needed that can communicate directly with the DBMS. So you need a one JDBC driver which helps us to communicate with the database. And you can see this client server configuration. So the clients is requesting to the server, and suppose I have a database server here which is in MySQL. So if this is the server, so this client is connecting and then getting some response from the server, right? Okay. Now in the case of three-tier architecture, client is sending requests to the server and then server is interacting with the database server. So it can have some connections pooling, and with the help of that connections pool, the server will interact with the database. It's a pool of connections which help us to enhance the performance of the server. And okay, next is look at here, database connectivity. So consider I have a one application, and this application has been designed in Java. Okay, this is in Java. Now I want to interact whatever we are entering here, that data should go to the database in a table. So Java providing you the JDBC API which will help you to do that work. Now there's a number of ways to interact with the database server. The database server may be in any kind or any vendor. Could be Oracle, could be MySQL, could be MS Access. So if we are having JDK in your system, the JDK provides you a JDBC API. So you can see this JDBC API. If you click it this JDBC, you will get the whole API's details. So there's a number of APIs like driver manager, driver, I can say here connections, statement, prepare statement. So lot of APIs is there which help us to work with the database in Java. Now introduction to JDBC. So what exactly is JDBC? Look at here. It as its name, Java Database Connectivity. So Sun Marketing now states this is no longer an acronym, but the official name, JDBC, is made up of about 2 dozen Java classes in the packages java.sql. So there's one package which you have to import if you're writing JDBC application. So that package is what? Java.sql. Even there's another package also, Java x.sql, which is having some advanced APIs there. Okay, so here we are having some class interfaces which will help you to connect with the database server and interact with the database server, retrieve some record, store some data to the database server, right? So JDBC allows the programmer to use modern, or I can say modern database features such as simultaneous connections to several database, transaction management, pre-compiled statements with bind variables, calls to procedures, all we can do with the Java coding. Okay. JDBC supports both static and dynamic SQL statement. So we'll see what are that. Before getting to this JDBC concept, let us just have a closer look on the JDBC version that we are having. JDBC 1.0, 2.0, and then 3.0 and 4.0 also has come, the current, the 4.0. So when JDK 1.1 has come, okay, so JDBC 1.0 has been released. With 1.2, JDBC 2.0 has been released. So that is a compatibility with the JDK. Now these are the, again we can say JDK 1.4, and later JDBC 3.0 has come. In JDK 1.6, JDBC 4.0 has come. So we can see the all these APIs. So there's a different package Java x.sql which is having some of the APIs. Okay, good. So next we have to see what JDBC driver. Convert SQL statement into form that particular database can interpret. Retrieve the result of SQL statement and convert the result into equivalent JDBC API class object. So it is having drivers. There's a four type of drivers we're having. One is the JDBC ODBC bridge. Second is the native. Third net pure, and fourth is the native protocol pure Java driver. So JDBC ODBC bridge is here, native API, net pure, and pure Java driver. Okay, this guy will help you if you are using ODBC. I mean, if you are trying to connect your database using ODBC. ODBC, as you know, it is an open database connectivity, which is developed by the Microsoft, and it is written in C language, which is one of the standard which can connect with any RDBMS. Okay. Native API, if you are having some native code, means non-Java language code, and that code is trying to connect with the database, so you're using native API partly here. Net pure. So suppose there is a one server, and server is interacting with your database. So in that case, net pure Java driver is there. Fourth is the native protocol pure Java driver. Direct, your application is directly interacting with your database. So in that case, we can use pure Java driver, and that is called type 4 driver. So this is the type 1, and this is a type 2, and this is a type 3, and this is a type 4 driver. Okay, even type 5 also has come, but it is under the constructions. Okay, if you can look at here, the all the four type of drivers, as I said, the JDBC ODBC bridge driver, which take uses of ODBC open database connectivity. It is on the Windows platform. You can use on the Linux platform also. If you go to the control panel, in the control panel you will find ODBC data source. So if you open that, you will be able to configure a driver in ODBC for any kind of RDBMS. 2 is what? Native API part Java drivers, that is what if you're writing some code in C, C++ or other than Java, and that wants to connect with the database, so you need to write the native, you have to use this native API Java drivers. Let us say you're writing C++ code, so you need a DB library, right? Okay. JDBC Net Pure Java driver takes JDBC requests and translate them into network protocol that is not database specific, right? These requests are sent to the server, which translate the database request into the database specific protocol. And native protocol pure Java drivers convert JDBC requests to database specific network protocol so that Java programs can connect directly to a database. Okay. Look at this architecture, JDBC architecture. As I said, there is a 5 type of drivers. Okay. Now this is my type 1, this is type 2 and type 3 and type 4, right? So if we talk about type 1, this is interacting with the ODBC, and ODBC is further interacting with your RDBMS. If we talk about type 2, it is interacting with the native API, suppose, and that native API interacting with the database. If we talk about type 3, it is interacting with the server, and then server interacting with the database, right? But type 4, it is direct. Your application is direct interacting with the database. Clear? Okay. So we'll see how to write ODBC code and how to write, type 1, type 4 drivers, how to use it. So type 1 driver is a JDBC ODBC bridge. Usually runs on Windows because it is a window feature, but you can run on the Linux also. You have to install one ODBC library in your Linux platform, and then you can use the ODBC, which will help you to interact with the database, right? So if you are having some programs and that program is trying to interact with the JDBC API and then in turn with driver manager, and then it is interacting with the ODBC bridge and then ODBC drivers, and then ODBC driver is interacting with your database API. So this is the way and flow of interaction of your uh, JDBC ODBC bridge, right? Now in the type 2 driver, as I said, if you're having some native code in your Java code, the code which is not in Java language, and that code wants to connect with the database, so you need some native driver for that. Okay. Next is what? Type 3 driver. As I said, it is a server in between. So if client is requesting to the server is interacting with the database. So here we have to use, this is called type 3 protocol, I can say. So the protocol which has been used by the client, that is getting to the network, and network translate this protocol to the database protocol and then interact with the database. Type 3 driver is having lot of functionality. Network servers can apply several techniques to boost performance like load management, caching and pooling. So I just explain you the what is a connections pooling or pool of connections. So on the servers, what we do, we make a number of connections for the database. Okay. So suppose this is my database, and for this database I have created 3 connections. So whenever one request come from the client, okay, it is getting one connection. At this time, this 2 connection is idle, right? This 2 connection is idle, not in use. Now at the same time, another client is coming. So what will happen? That second client need not to wait. He will get the second connection and interact with the database. In between, this may get free, right? So it will help you the enhance the like performance. Now this is your type 4 driver. So the application is directly interacting with the database. So you are having some application, and this application is direct interaction with the database, and it is called type 4 driver, and this is called pure Java driver also. Okay, what is the driver and what is the URL for different RDBMS? Because if you are trying to connect with different RDBMS, you need one drivers. Second, you need a database name. Third, you need where this database is, right? So if we are talking about MySQL, okay, com.mysql.jdbc.driver is one driver class which you have to load it during execution of your program. There's a number of ways to load this driver class.forName. You can load manually. Okay, you can set some Java driver system property. Now database URL here. So this is JDBC always. Wherever you are writing, it is JDBC always. First JDBC. Now this JDBC is interacting with the MySQL, and then MySQL having host name, what server name, and what is the database name on that. And you can pass some here. No, that's okay. So in the case of Oracle, this is my driver name, and this is the protocol or sub protocol, and this is sub protocol, and this is the host name, port number, and database name. So you have to tell to the your application, this is my server, and on this server this is my database, so you can interact with that. For db2, this is the driver com.ibmdb2 .jdbc.net.db2 driver, and this is the URL for that. Same thing like protocol, and then sub protocol is db2 here, and then host name, and then port number, what is the database name, right? If you're trying to work with MS Access, so there's a JDBC ODBC driver is there. It is com.jdbc.odbc.jdbc driver. So this is one class. It is already there in the rt.jar package which you can use. But for this all, you have to set class path now. You have to set a class path because this class is not available. So you have to download some jar file. For MySQL, there is a MySQL dot jar file you can download and you can set as a class path because this class is available in this jar file. For Oracle driver, there is a O JDBC 14.jar. Earlier it was the classes 13, classes 12.jar class. So these are the class jar file which you have to download and set as a class path in Java environment, and then you can run your program. Else your program won't run. But this is already available with your JDK. So you can just use JDBC. Now you are using ODBC support. So this is JDBC ODBC. And then you have write ODBC, and what is the database name? I mean the driver name. Whatever you have created at this place, you have to mention here. Okay. So data source name we have to pass here now. So you can look this flow, what is happening here. So first of all, let us say this application, that is a Java application, is loading the drivers. So first they have to load the drivers, and that driver manager gives connection to the application. So this guy will get the connection object, and then with the help of that connection object, it can fire the query, and that SQL driver manager will take it and will go to the MySQL database server and interact with the MySQL. If this driver is of say Oracle, it will interact with Oracle. If this driver is for the MySQL, it will interact with the MySQL. So it depends what kind of driver you are using here, right? So it could be the driver for MySQL, driver for Oracle here. So this will interact with that. Okay.